Thank you for that introduction. Good afternoon. General Shavendra Silva, Chief of Defence Staff, as well as the Commander of the Sri Lanka Army. Major General Prabhat Demarampitia, Chief of Staff of the Army, and the Colonel Commandant of Sri Lanka Signal Corps currently. All senior military officers currently serving, as well as I got the privilege of meeting some of the retired officers here, and all the distinguished guests. It's a deep privilege. Of course, I have addressed the Sri Lanka Army and military gatherings, but this is the first gathering I address as a member of the KDU, which is, so General Demarampitia, I thank you, and I'm so glad General Shavendra is here. You have supported us so much, and myself, in my all institutions I have led in Sri Lanka. So, reviewing a book of that nature, of 80 years of history, and which is very heavy, in 15 minutes is no easy task. So what I'm going to do is run through few ideas of the book, its relevance, and look at some aspects of what it covers and what its relation to in current context. So if I am to kind of concise my ideas in 3 different short sentences about the book to start off, I would say it's a great piece of chronicling. It probably is equivalent to the Mahavans of the Signal Corps. Number 2, it's a great, it's a great piece of academic writing, academically very comprehensive. Because these days, as scholars, we are actually disappointed in some of the products coming out from leading universities, academic products. So to get such a comprehensive academic document out, academically coherent document out, that's a great achievement. Number 3, it's the text, the way it's written, right? It's textually eloquent and visually breathtaking. The visuals and the text, they bond well together. So these are my 3 major observations. Normally it's said, don't judge a book by its cover. But the cover, I loved it. And I want to speak about why I loved the cover, and then I saw it in the curtain raiser as well, the railway. Whether it came intentionally or unintentionally, the railway is the heart of modern 19th century evolution of modern society. It was a symbol of modernity that changed society from 19th century onwards, and it also changed the way of modern war fighting. And parallel to the railway ran the telegraph networks. It was, wherever the rail went, that's where the telegraph went. That was the natural course. So the emergence of telegraph, communication networks ran parallel to the railway. So whether you did it intentionally or unintentionally, it was a fabulous choice to have the railway, because that's symbolic of 19th century transformation. And it gave me the memory of an event which happened in 1825 in New York. The New Yorkers were celebrating one of their greatest heroes in the freedom struggle, the French General Lafayette, who led the revolutionary struggle against the British. So I'm not going to say anything bad about the British. Of course, the Signal Corps is evolving from the British Signal Corps, the ideas. But in 1825, in New York, they invited him to New York, and the president met him. And then they invited a young artist. His name was Samuel L.G. Morse, to draw a picture of him. And Morse was fascinated to meet Lafayette as well as the American president. And he wrote to his wife saying, I met these wonderful people. In 3 days, I will come and tell you all about it. Unfortunately, when the message reached Lucretia Morse, she was dead. So his father-in-law had to unfortunately send a letter saying, my beloved son-in-law, our love has passed. So Samuel Morse went into a depression, and he left US. He went into Europe, and he started looking at the transformations of society. On his way back on a ship, he thought of how to devise some sort of communication along the telegraph lines. There you have the birth of the Morse code. Out of tragedy, you see the birth, right? So this story came to my mind because we are in a book about history. And in Sri Lanka and anywhere, when we teach history, people think history is boring. And history is something in the past. What the book always, when I went through all the book is not about the past. History is not the past. Past is what we did and we forgot. History is what changed that present moment to be very decisive in the future. So history is always a turning point. We chronicle history as a part of turning points. So the book chronicles all the turning points, conjunctures of this fabulous core. How it evolved, what it did, right? What its signalmen, what its officers, signalers did. It's an evolution of how things moved forward. So, and it's done in such a lucid manner. So as an academic, I could read it. But as a layman, anybody can read it. Because the stories which are inbuilt, and I learned a few. And I didn't know the first television telecast was done by Sri Lanka Signal Corps. We all said it was the ITN, of course. But then I realized, reading a small anecdote, that in 1970, you all did a first television broadcast. And the story behind that was also interesting, how you all convinced General Artigala, who was the commander of the army, to support that. So these kinds of stories, as well as how it evolved, especially responding to the terrorist challenge to the war, how from a small unit to a massive expansion network, that was the heart and soul of, in a certain way, connecting all services, providing the ultimate necessary information, data, as well as vital coordination, as well as the sacrifices, as any military establishment. But sacrifices do make history. If there were no sacrifices, there is no historical value. So signalmen has all paid the price, and they have fought as well. So what I want to tell you is, rather than going from page to page or from chapter to chapter, it's a brilliant piece of academic work which should be made available to researchers. Because in Sri Lanka, we have achieved the ultimate achievement any military could. But institutional memory is losing. We are losing the stories, the tactics, the information that we achieved. So it's important that this will be preserved in such chronicles, because when we move forward, we teach military history to students. But if we don't have sufficient critical mass of information, knowledge to teach, I mean, that is actually a disgrace to the people who actually made history during the last 2 decades or 3 decades in the Sri Lankan Armed Forces. So I think books like this should be made more. All regiments, I think other regiments are also working on it, as far as I know. But it's very important because these are real first-hand academic resources for researchers. And they could be put up as academic resources in universities and any think tanks, Sri Lanka and locally and globally. So I think that is the value, not just presenting a history, but adding to existing knowledge as well as research breadth. Given the time limitation, I want to say a few things at the end, why this book is relevant to today's context. The book also traces how from pigeons to cyber, the evolution, right? And cyber is a key area, key domain that we're talking on and on about. But we should understand in the last 5 years what has changed. Right? And it's very interesting to see the first IT unit coming up in 2010. 2010 onwards, as an international relations scholar and an analyst, last 10 years for us is very puzzling, very worrying. All the chaos in the world that you see now is a result of what happened 10 years back, especially after the global financial crisis and 2010. But I want to bring your attention to 2014, 2015. 2014, you saw the rise of Islamic State in Levant, ISIL. And one of the greatest operations that they were remembered was for the capture of Mosul by Islamic State. Mosul, the northern Iraqi city, right? The campaign was won by a military attrition, but 90% of the campaign was won through information. A non-state actor, terrorist unit using information to take over. And less than 1,000 terrorists able to intimidate 50,000 people who were protecting Mosul. That's a story of how threats are evolving. But in 2017, Mosul was won back by the Iraqi military. And the operation was, we are coming to get you. It was another counter-information operation. So last few years, the world, what we are seeing is the rise of cyber, not just technologically, but as narratives. Because we are facing challenges not just technologically. This is one thing the core has to understand and is very important for us. We are living in a time of extreme political warfare. Let me just draw your attention to the last 2 years in Sri Lanka. General Silva knows this very well. 2019, the dual shocks of Easter and then the COVID. We call COVID a pandemic, but I think, sir, you will also agree with me, parallel to the pandemic, there is an infodemic. People are driven, countries are driven, societies are driven by false information. It's a systematic crisis. Infodemics can be used to unstable states, destabilize states. So what you are seeing at the moment is we are living in a time of emerging political warfare that is being unleashed between countries, between societies. And when you're looking at a signals corps of a military, which is kind of, the vanguard of, when you talk about information security, information warfare, cyber warfare, it is not just the situational awareness. It's not just the technological advancement. It's shaping our minds to understand the future of political warfare. That's where we are now. So with those thoughts, I think I will stop here because I don't want to, the bad thing about getting academics is you can speak forever. It's not the best thing. So we have to discipline ourselves. But what I want to say is these things. My observations of the book, the core competencies the book carry, as well as the relevance, as well as the dangers, challenges we face as a nation, as a unit, as a service. So these are things that we have to be conscious of. So, but in the spirit of your emblem, Jimmy or Mercury, or the Greek god Hermes, they're all symbols of not just communication, but also prosperity, of connectivity. So I wish this core a mercurial future as well, a mercurial rise, and I wish Sri Lankan Armed Forces all its success. We have the best leadership we can ever get, and because we are living in times of deep turbulence and systematic crisis. So with these words, I thank again. I hope I did justice to Command General Debaran Pittiya's wishes, and thank you again for inviting me so wish you all the best. Thank you so much.